Hey, happy Sunday. So it's 2 p.m. where I am and super sunny day. I can't wait to get out and enjoy the sun. But before I go, I wanted to record this live. And last 2 days I've been talking about mindset, talking about energy, but today I want to talk about something lighter, which is the flow and how to actually unlock the flow zone so that you are consistently at the peak performance in terms of work, in terms of getting shit done. Because come on, let's face it, if you can't get things done, if you can't not procrastinate, productivity will be low, and that's a huge cost as a business owner or a high performance employee, right? So that's what I want to talk about. So I remember 6 months ago when I was passing through Hong Kong, I was talking to a good friend of mine. He's very successful in terms of doing real estate investment, being in direct sales. He's probably easily have $1 million in terms of passive income every year, right? So I remember talking to him and asking him, have you ever experienced flow, and how frequently do you experience it? And we were discussing these frequent situations we would experience that, and both of us played the piano for a long time. So he said, there's typically 3 examples or 3 situations under which I would experience flow. And one of them is when I play a piano, right? When I play a very nice piano piece and I'm just so in the zone and I'm just letting go of all my thoughts and just being with the keys and just being with the music. I'm sure those of you who play an instrument or who play sports, you've experienced that, where you're just focusing on the moment, right? Or another scenario he described was when he's dancing salsa, when he's with a partner, and he's just literally being one with your body. And that feeling is you just feel like you're in that zone of flow. There is no judgments, there is no worries, there is no fretting and stressing about your thoughts, right? About what am I gonna cook for breakfast later or tomorrow, or what am I gonna do? How am I gonna solve all these 10 things I gotta do on my to-do list today, or any worries, right? And then there's the third situation, which is obviously when you're having really great sex and when you're hitting that point of orgasm and just being at one with your partner, right? So those things obviously make you very happy, and you're releasing your serotonin, happy hormones and chemicals. So, but he said, QI, these are so rare for me to experience, very far and few between. So I would love to experience more of that. How do I do it? So today I want to talk about that, because that's kind of the secret that nobody really talks about. Everybody talks about positive thinking, rah, 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 go get shit done, all those things. So I want to talk about flow. So the reason why usually we don't get to enjoy flow is because we are not enjoying the process. We are being attached to the outcome. Just imagine that for a second, right? Imagine that for a second. Let's say I am trying to master the art of this piano piece I want to learn, for example. So in my thoughts, I might be thinking, okay, I'm practicing these scales. I'm trying to learn the emotions. How do I interpret this piece? But if my thoughts are constantly every time I hit the wrong note, I'm thinking, oh my God, QA, you're an idiot. Or if, let's say, I am trying to hit the competition in 3 weeks' time and I'm still not getting this right, I will be so stressed, and my thoughts would just be about how do I go do this, right? The only time you can easily get into that flow state is when you really empty your mind. When you really empty your mind and you don't judge and you don't worry about later on, or you don't think about the wrongs and the mistakes you've made yesterday or just before this, but you just really focus on the present. And when you're really focusing on the present, it's almost for those of you who have ever seen a tea master in Japan, the Japanese are just amazing people, right? They've made an art out of pretty much everything. And when you do the tea ceremony in Japan, it's an art. Essentially, it's like the tea masters are present with every single one of their move, and they're present to every single one of the tiniest details. And how you can actually enter the flow zone and unlock that peak state of performance is when you actually empty your mind and you actually let go of all of these thoughts, right? So the analogy I love is always any thoughts that come, like, what do I gotta do? Oh my God, I'm so worried about these problems. Just let them go like clouds. But the number one problem most people have, and they can't get into the flow state, is because oftentimes they're so in their head, like so absorbed by these thoughts, that you're not even present to the fact that you're actually thinking about these thoughts. So your head is doing, your body is doing one thing, but your head is doing another, and there is no alignment. There is no alignment. So how you can really enter that flow state is when you are keeping your thoughts in check. And to me, that is mastery, right? So lately, I've been toying with the concept of superheroes. And one of my superheroes is Bruce Lee. And this guy is like amazing, not because of his martial arts like mastery, but it really because of how forward a thinker he is. So he would say things like, be like water, my friend, right? One of the things he said is about, like, he want to be so at one with his mind, body, and spirit that he just literally practices and is just being present. And that famous quote where he says, like, be like water, you know, because when you pour water into a cup, the water becomes the cup. When you pour water into like another thing, like it becomes that other thing. Like water is just very fluid and very feminine, right? But what I want to say with the water is like you are in that flow, and you know the speed at which you flow, it could be very, very fast, like a river, like a current, or it could be very, very slow, like a water tap dripping. So that's what I want to say is, like, really slow down when you try to get into the flow state. Slow down and just get present. Just get present to what your thoughts are. Get present to what your worries are. And when you're super present to those things, you have control over your mind. And when you have control over your mind, you have that level of awareness. That is the beginning of flow. Okay, so this is part one of what I want to talk about flow, and tomorrow I'm going to talk about part two. So that's it, and thank you so much. Have a great weekend.